Hey YouTube family, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. For all my new viewers, appreciate you guys tuning in and watching this video, man. Really appreciate the support, and all my returning subscribers, really appreciate you guys rocking with me and supporting the channel. You see the title, you see the thumbnail, no clickbait or cap on this channel, man. You know how I do, you know how I get down, man. I like to bring you the content I'm telling you I'm going to bring you, man. So this one, we got a really special video today. Bring you guys another one of my close friends' cars, man. Mopar, you see the title and all that. He does a lot with his car. We're gonna get into all that, but first things first, let's get into all the slow-mo cinematic stuff on the car, man. Let's get a good overview. Let's go. Hope you like the cinematic footage of this car, man. A very amazing ride, man. We're gonna get with the owner. We're gonna talk about the stuff he's done to it, maybe the plans he has to this car, and maybe what got him into Mopar, man. So let's talk to my guy Trackshaker, and let's go over everything with this beautiful SRT. All right, so tell me about the car itself.
What's up, man? Well, it's great to see you. Thanks for filming today.
You too.
This is my 2015 Dodge Challenger SRT. And you know, whether you guys know Mopars or not, the SRT is actually a defunct trim line. And when the Hellcats came out in 2015, this generation of Challenger, the SRT was right below that in terms of trim lines. So basically an SRT has everything that a Hellcat has except for the supercharger. So, you know, along with that, it's got adjustable Bilstein suspension with variable track modes. The most important part, in my opinion, why I bought this car in terms of looking for an SRT are the brakes. It's got 6-piston Brembos up front with 15.4-inch massive rotors, and then 4-piston out back. And I can tell you, I've driven this thing on track in the few months I've had it. Those brakes are absolutely phenomenal. Also with the SRT, you get a 392 V8 Hemi. This car is equipped with the 6-speed Tremec manual transmission.
Shout out to the 6-speeds. We love the 6-speeds around here.
Always, always. It had to be a 6-speed.
Yes.
And that's part of the reason I went all the way to Texas from North Carolina to get this car. And it's got a bunch of comfort stuff too, just like Hellcats, you know. Heated and ventilated seats. I've never had that before. That's cool. Sunroof, you know, the great sound system, tons of creature comforts, and it hauls ass too. Nice.
So we know this is your second Challenger. Well, I know that, but the people may not know that. So tell me about your first Challenger that you had before that one. Before this one, I should say.
Just a few months ago, I sold the first Challenger I've ever owned. It was a 2016 Challenger RT Shaker. That car was plumb crazy. And like this one, I wanted to get exactly what I was looking for. So that one I went all the way to Alabama to get. And it was a 16 RT Shaker, also with a 6-speed manual transmission. I love that car. It ended up being one of one, which was really cool. It was plumb crazy. I added some black vinyl to the hood and also some custom AAR CUDA stripes and stuff. I love that car, but my preferences have changed a little bit.
Gotcha.
That car was mostly show. I wanted more go.
Gotcha.
So this car is definitely less show, but a heck of a lot more show.
So let's get into go, Mogo. I got you. So he mentioned this is a 392 Hemi, and it's more go than show. Now it doesn't really stop there. Let's talk about the engine modifications on the engine.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah. So this is a 2015. So obviously I bought it used a couple months ago, and I got it in Harlingen, Texas. And it was an amazing deal, but it's also got some sweet modifications to it, which is part of the reason why I drove all the way out there to get it. So it's got, among other things, the big star of the show is a D1X Procharger added to the 392 Hemi. So a Procharger is what's called a centrifugal supercharger. As you'll see, it's shaped like a turbo. It's got helical gears, and it kind of sounds like a turbo too. And rather than what you would call a roots blower, a roots supercharger, which generally sits on top of the engine, this is offset to the side. And because it's a supercharger, it is driven off of the crank via a belt, but the internals are shaped like a turbo. So you can kind of very roughly think of it as a belt-driven turbo. And it adds boost to the engine. It's on a super conservative 4 pounds of boost. And with that, it's bumped up, you know, a normal 392 Hemi is rated at 485 horsepower crank. This crank is probably about 640.
Nice. Now, one thing, now, as far as the root supercharger versus the supercharger, the Procharged that we have in the car here, for my viewers that may be watching, the Hellcats and the Demons and stuff have like the root style supercharger that sit on top of the engine, which I showed you in the video here. This is the one that's up to the side here. And how much are you getting at the wheel, if you want to tell the viewers? Yeah,
so I actually had this car dynoed a few weeks after I bought it, among other things to make sure it's on a safe level of boost for stock internals. And it's at 571 horsepower at the rear wheels.
Nice. And for my viewers may not know what boost is, that's pretty much, it's just like adding more explosion to the engine, therefore getting more power. And you don't want to go too much with it, because like if you put too much boost in any car, the engine go bye-bye. In short, the engine go bye-bye. With the 6.4 liters, the most you can do is like 6 pounds. But of course you don't want to go all the way there, especially for what he does with this car. So what kind of things you do with this car?
Oh man, I mean, this car is going to be driven, and it's going to be driven hard, and it already has been. I love to do any and all kind of track stuff. My main thing is track days, which is, you know, basically what my company Trackshaker is centered around, but I also do drag racing. In fact, I did that yesterday. I did the first quarter-mile pass in the car, and also autocross. So, you know, track days on road courses, and then tracks like Charlotte Motor Speedway, autocross, and 1/8 and quarter-mile drag racing. This car is going to get driven, and it's got some get up and go on all 3 of those different situations to drive on, for sure.
Cool. He mentioned Trackshaker there. Now, if you go down into my description below, I have Trackshaker. All his social media is linked there, because I'm part of the Trackshaker team myself. It pretty much, for a quick summary of what it's for, if you are a new person to trying to track your car, it has everything on there to get you started and get you going. You can book your track day, get your track insurance, get your tools, get your helmet, get track maps, get all that stuff in one place. Even if you're a returning person that's been to the track before, it has good tools. It has things there for you as well. Like I said, tools, helmets, everything. Anything you need for the track is in that place. And don't be scared to go onto the track and you don't know what to do. Trackshaker.com will take care of you. I'm gonna put the description in the comments below, so that way we can make sure you get you there to all of his social media and ask him questions that you may not can find. I'm pretty sure if you go to Trackshaker.com, every question will be answered on there. You mentioned drag racing, you mentioned road course, and autocross. Out of those 3 things you do, which one is your favorite and why?
Track days.
Why so?
Track days have always been my favorite. I mean, my first track day was at Virginia International Raceway, and you know, a famous quote by Paul Newman is, "If there's heaven on earth, it's VIR." And you know, I mean, whatever track, I've been on a lot of tracks, VIR, Charlotte Motor Speedway. I love Carolina Motorsports Park, Roebling Road Raceway. They're all very different, but they're all a blast. I mean, driving your own car on a road course, first of all, there's just the adrenaline of driving on a racetrack,
right?
You know, and with track days, it's the best and most affordable way for you to drive your car on a racetrack involving turns, you know, like a road course or a NASCAR speedway. And you know, most events, they put an instructor in the car with you. That is so valuable. I mean, I cannot overstate how much they help you. I mean, in the course of one track day, you can improve your lap times by 18 or 20 seconds, which is huge. I mean, you're beefing up your driving ability, and you're doing, in my opinion, at least for me personally, I'm not gonna, I'll say me personally, is the most fun thing I've ever done with my car, which is driving full out, close to the limit, on a road course. You know, even with heavy cars like this, no matter what you drive, whether it's a Miata or whether it's a big heavy Challenger, it's an awesome challenge. It's an incredible adrenaline rush. You're improving your driving skills, and it's something you're never gonna forget. You know, as you're taking these corners, you've got awesome straightaways, You know, you can really see what a car is made of and see what you as a driver are made of. It really tests everything, and I mean, it's just, it's a roller coaster that you're in control of.
And another thing, you have a very extensive like track resume, and you've been on a lot of tracks. Your favorite track that what's a track you have not been on that you're itching to get on?
That would be Road Atlanta. Road Atlanta in Brazelton, Georgia is an absolutely legendary track. It's very technical, very challenging. It's got some blind hills. There's a fair amount of elevation change. And I have an interesting history with that track. I haven't driven it yet, and that's partially because of my uncle. My uncle was a corner worker at Road Atlanta for a couple decades, all the way back in the 60s and 70s. And he's always told me, he's actually featured in our How to Get on Track video as a corner worker. He told me, Scott, Road Atlanta eats cars.
Ooh.
Like Road Atlanta, it's not for the faint of heart. You know, you've got blind hills, blind corners, stuff like that. So honestly, because of those words, it's intimidated me a little bit, but I've got enough under my belt. It's time. You know, Road Atlanta, it's gonna happen in 2021 season for sure. So that's one that's on my bucket list that I gotta make happen this year.
Cool deal. Now with the car, I know we talked about the engine. What other mods do you have on this car?
Yeah, so when I bought the car in Texas, it came, basically the modifications that were done to it before I became the owner were the Procharger. The Procharger was already on there. It's got the Procharger race intercooler, which is another radiator, which helps with cooling a lot. It had obviously an accompanying tune by HP tuners. All the Procharger and those modifications were done in Texas and Houston. They also put a drive shaft shop carbon fiber drive shaft. And an accompanying transmission safety loop, and Barton shifter was the other thing they did. So when I bought the car, those were the few things done to it. Oh, and also they had JBA catless mid pipes and a Borla attack exhaust. So this car was crazy loud. I mean, it sounded great, but I got to register the car in North Carolina, and also there are some sound limitations at some tracks. So I, just by necessity, had to add catalytic converters and have the ability to, you know, have it be a little bit quieter when sound limitations require that. So now getting into modifications I've done with the exhaust, I added catalytic converters, I added a stock SRT exhaust, but I got to get some rumble.
Right. So
I added QuickTime Performance electronic exhaust cutouts. And as you can see, there's a switch in the center console that I can open and close them in 2 or 3 seconds. And basically what that does is the cutouts are right after the mid pipes, so about center placement of the car, and it opens up, so it just bypasses the mufflers and the resonators, and you get that growl, you know, with them wide open. And actually, I dynoed it too, and it adds about 8 horsepower.
Nice. With
the cutouts open versus closed.
So I think do you think that debunks the myth that straight piping a car, you lose horsepower?
Yeah, I've never bought into this whole back pressure thing. I mean, I guess maybe there's some type of car where that might be true, depending on the exhaust size and a bunch of other factors. But, you know, this car was dynoed in Texas when it was built at 570 wheel horsepower. I swapped out the exhaust for admittedly not as good of exhaust. You know, I had to add catalytic converters. That's more constricting. Right. I added a stock exhaust in place of Borla attack, which Borla is great. With the exhaust cutouts closed, adding the cats and stuff like that did bring down the horsepower, 8 horsepower from when it was built in Texas. But with the cutouts open, it makes the exact to the number, same amount as the original build without the cats and with the Borla in Texas, which is 571 at the rear wheels.
Nice.
So with the cutouts open, it's got the exact same performance as when it did without cats.
Nice, nice. Now, Steve, I know the wheels are not the stock wheels that's on here. Tell me about the wheels and your choice, and why did you go with those?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a long story, and I've got the whole, you know, road trip on my YouTube, but I had to drive out to Texas to get this car and then drive it back. And when I bought the car, it had weld wheels, which weld wheels are arguably the best forged drag wheels. And it had this same size up front, but it had Mickey Thompson radials out back. And they're street legal, but barely. And
Right.
I drove 1,400 miles home from Harlingen to Charlotte. And honestly, you cannot drive any distance on drag slicks. I mean, yes, they're barely street legal, but you don't want to do it, especially if there's any kind of rain involved.
Right.
So I actually brought these wheels out with me in a rental car. I actually got these in Virginia. And these are the same setup that I had on my Shaker, my last Challenger. They're MRR is the brand, M392 wheels, M392 being the model. And these are 20 by 9.5 up front and 20 by 11 out back. And same with my other Challenger, I have the same tires. Nitto NT555 G2s, which are ultra high performance summer tires. I'm running 275 up front, and I was running 315 out back. Had some fitment issues, now I'm on 305s.
It's still not a bad size tire at all. There's
Yeah.
definitely enough contact patch on it. All right, one of the mods he mentioned was the electronic cutouts. What the electronic cutouts does, it kind of redirects the exhaust through the car. With them right now that it's closed, the exhaust is going through the back of the car and exiting out here. Now he opened them here. The exhaust is coming out the side here. And you can go ahead and let me hear how it sounds. You gotta close it. Now you notice when they close them, the sound no longer comes from under here. Now the sound is back here. And what that helps with, you get the best of both worlds. You get the factory exhaust sound that's not as loud, but you get the crazy loud exhaust up here, which is a good thing you want to do if you don't want to make your neighbors mad. But in his situation, like you mentioned, for track days, that some tracks have a sound limit, so that's what we got with the exhaust. Guys, that's gonna wrap up today's video. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you got any questions about this car or get it on track, make sure to reach out to Trackshaker on all its social media platforms. The link will be in the description below, and I'll put it in the comments below as well. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next video. We are out. Cut it.